It's an incredible opportunity to improve the quality of people's lives through how you make a building, and it sort of certainly goes beyond sometimes on a client's initial brief and even an aesthetic judgment. It's really the ability to have some impact on the social and environmental qualities of for people's lives.
Yeah, well, every building is an opportunity, and you're bringing together a lot of people's requirements and solving them, but you're solving them on many levels, sort of urban design, resolution, what's best for the city, what's best for the community, what's best for the occupant, and I suppose that finding all those answers and learning from them is what drives us.
And it's also the incredible change of scale. As Kerry mentioned, this urban design issues, major impacts on a community, and it couldn't, the next day or the next hour, it could be the design of someone's table or front door, or how they feel when they grab the handrail. All those things are important.
Yeah, well, I've thought about this a few times, and I really do think it would be to sort of follow your intuition, because a lot of times when I haven't, I have felt that later on I should have. And I mean, it's a mix of intuition and education and knowledge and learning, and but quite often with an architect, intuition plays a big role.
It'd be great to put a 60-year-old head into a 30-year-old body. Because
not just
I think
in architecture.
I think the experience, the judgment, is something which, you know, that's how you develop intuition. It's not just
Yes.
Intuition doesn't sort of deny sort of knowledge. Judgment is probably. I mean, when we do have the opportunity to work with students at the University of Newcastle at the moment, we get a lot of pleasure out of that in terms of talking to these kids that have got incredible brains, basically, incredible talents, and yet they think we know it all. And I suppose it goes back to the first answer about, look, they've got this opportunity to make people's lives better. They've got to really think positively about what they can do and what they can contribute. They've got to imagine their mother or their little sister or someone going through the spaces and how they would feel. So in the end, I suppose it's sort of trying to instill a sort of a more human understanding of the decisions they're making, of the lines they're drawing. And I suppose we were lucky that in a way, when we studied, we worked more as apprentices, which is where we met, under Gabriel Poole, and he taught us a lot of that firsthand. Well, Kerry and I were talking about this morning, and we're talking about problem solving, and it is really problem solving in many different ways, but it's problem solving with a three-dimensional sort of understanding and capability, and that brings with it scale. So when you're thinking things through about how people will feel in a space or how they're affected by materials and the size, light, etc., how they feel in any sort of space, inside or out. It's solving problems, but bringing that dimension to it that makes a person feel comfortable, that the man in the street, so to speak, will actually feel some sort of connection with the space. It feels as though they're comfortable there. It's their space, whether it's public or private.
And probably architects, they're the only profession that really have to deal with that.
Well, no one else does.
No.
I mean, basically, people can make a lot of sound decisions about problems, but not necessarily understand how people are going to feel when it's occupied. I think it's that architecture goes beyond the immediate brief, whatever it is, public or private. That every building or space has some function, and it can be quite prescriptive. But the way people use spaces over time, probably demand, I think, a deeper understanding of the building or the space, creating a framework for people to do a whole lot of unplanned, accidental things. So we never really can prescribe that, but it's like bumping into someone in the street or when you're getting coffee or whatever. Those sort of social engagements are really quite important. So it's creating that opportunity rather than just sort of simply providing a street, for example, that people can walk down. It's yes, that solves a function or a drive down, but what the spaces are that create interest along the way. And
even very basic things like a corridor. We try and always make a corridor a nice space to be in. It could have a view, it could have light, it could have breeze, it could open out this way, then it could open out that way. Whenever I see our students, for instance, drawing a long corridor that's all internalised, I would say, well, why not provide more opportunity and more delight and more sort of humanity to a space? And I think that's the opportunity that we always try and bring. Plus the long life of buildings. I mean, a building is going to far exceed its first life if it's well built, and so you want to give a building very good bones for future use, and so. We quite often, people think that our buildings are very good environmentally, but a lot of that comes from actually just making a building so that it might work in a lot of different instances, so that you're always trying to get opportunities for light and ventilation, natural balance of light and connection to place. All those sort of things come from just really basically wanting to build a structure that will have some sort of longevity.
Unfortunately, these qualities, which are so critical to success, don't always come out and tick the box in a value management session.